Hi, I'm Louise Frampton. I'm the editor of Clinical Services Journal. I'm reporting from EBME Expo today, and I'm joined by Esther Coleman from Idox. So, what are you highlighting at EBME today?
Thank you for having me today, Louise. Lovely to see you. So I'm here with Idox. I'm the product manager for iFit, which is one of the pieces of software that that Idox sells.
Right.
And we have an array of different types of software. But what we're showing today is our asset tracking solution, which is called iFit. And within iFit, we've got iAssets, and that's all about tracking medical devices primarily within the NHS.
Right, okay.
So we are showcasing some of our new functionality and obviously the solution as a whole. And we have also brought with us our lockbox, which I have here. One I prepared earlier, which is a solution that tracks syringe drivers, both within hospitals and out in the community. It's been a problem for the NHS for many years that syringe drivers have got lost when they have been sent out to people's homes or something like that, and we wanted to come up with a solution. And what's great about this is that we track the device rather than the lockbox, because of course a syringe driver can be taken out of the box.
Right.
It's the device itself that matters, of course, and so our tracking device is attached to the syringe driver rather than the box. So it's unusual, it's quite unique to us, and obviously it's going down a storm within the NHS Trust. They're expensive pieces of equipment, and of course now we can pinpoint exactly where they are using some of our GPS technology.
Right.
So, and we've manufactured these boxes in order to fit that tracking device at the bottom. So they're sort of specially designed and very strong, and so on. We sort of changed the makeup of the plastic so that they're sort of as secure as they can possibly be, and of course it means that we can track the device. So we've got both things with us. We've got the software and we've got the lockboxes with us today, and already it's lunchtime and we've had so much interest already. It's been fantastic
to hear. So why is it so important? Obviously from a cost perspective, but what about in terms of patient safety and efficiency? What are some of the benefits around that tracking software?
Yeah.
Why is it so important?
It's really important, and it is a bit of a cascade really, if you think about it, because of course from a patient perspective, we need to have that equipment. The users need to have that equipment available to them at any time. So if you have a good tracking system within the hospital, or indeed out in the communities, it means that the patients can benefit because that equipment is where it needs to be, exactly at the right place at the right time. And of course what's also key is that it's not just the staff in the hospitals that are using the tracking equipment, it's also the engineers. So the engineers can go on site to service or repair the equipment.
Right.
So we know that it's being serviced properly, we know it's being repaired properly, so that when the nurses or the medical staff need to use it for a patient, there it is, it's compliant, it's ready to be used. And that's the really key element of tracking software really. That's the benefit for the customers primarily.
So what do clinical engineers really need to understand about this? I mean, particularly at the procurement stage, what do they need to know, and what are some of the important questions that they should be asking suppliers?
It's a good question because people think about tracking devices, and there's a big picture around it. So if you're a manager of a hospital, you want to be able to understand your asset portfolio. You need to know where it is, how it's being used, and indeed you link that into your procurement costs. And because equipment gets lost so frequently, they're buying equipment that actually they haven't needed to buy. And if you can look and say, oh well, actually I have this equipment already, and it might have been put into a cupboard or under a bed or wherever it might be, of course that's saving those procurement costs. So it's very cost effective. And let's not kid ourselves, putting an RFID infrastructure into a hospital is a complex process. So when we're developing this software, we have to make sure that it's beneficial from a cost perspective, from an end user perspective, from the engineers, and of course ultimately from the patient's perspective. So if they're asking, do I need it? Is this the right thing for me? Then yes, there's an implementation process and nobody can get past that. But actually, ultimately, that whole point around, I can see my asset portfolio, I can see where it's being used, I can save money in procurement, I can be more compliant, and I can actually ultimately give the end user a far better experience, the patients a far better experience, then it absolutely is worth putting it into the hospitals in the first place.
So how important is it to have all those conversations with the different kind of parties involved? Because sometimes these things are put in place without fully consulting end users and what their needs are. So how do you work with trusts? How do you sort of characterise the way you kind of work with them to ensure that all the different kind of interested parties' needs are served, whether that's patients, the end users, clinical engineering, procurement, all of those people? How do you get them all to sit around the table and work together and ensure that this is implemented in the best possible way?
And it's challenging, Louise. You know, everybody's so busy, aren't they? There's, you know, time constraints all the time. And that's why a conference like this is so great, because of course so many, we've been speaking this morning to consultants and staff, but also the IT departments. You know, there's a range of people here, which is fantastic. So once we do engage with the trust, of course we need to have the IT and people involved, we need to have the facilities teams involved because of the infrastructure that needs to go into the product. But at the end of the day, you can have the best system in the world, but if the end users aren't going to be trained, know how to use it, understand the benefits of it, then it's pointless. And so we spend a lot of time talking to our customers, both existing and potential customers, going on site, talking to the nursing staff and the cleaners and the IT people and an array of all of those different people to say, let me understand your story, let me understand what you need from a user perspective. And as a product manager, that's very much a part of my role, is to say, let's see how is the product being most effective. Where or can we benefit you? Because if we're benefiting you, we're benefiting the patients. If we can make your processes more efficient and less time consuming, then we're going to save the trust money. So everybody wins, but you have to understand that user case. And so we spend a lot of time engaging with our customers, and we have a fantastic implementation team who take everybody through that process as well. And it's important as well that it's an ongoing, so even when you've got the system in place, we still have dedicated account managers, and we all go out and see the customers, and we understand, because things change and things evolve and the trusts change and different needs come along and different use cases come along, and we need to be part of that conversation with our customers all the time. It's part of my job I absolutely love.
Brilliant. So in terms of the kind of technologies that this can be used on, you mentioned syringe drivers. What's the scope and the potential for other kind of medical technologies?
Huge. And one of the things that is very exciting about the syringe drivers is, of course, we are leveraging GPS technology to be able to take it outside of the hospital. Right. And so that's great, because historically it's very much been the infrastructure is inside the hospital, and so we can track all over the hospital, and of course within the equipment libraries and so on. But actually we know there's a push for keeping patients at home. The virtual ward initiative is absolutely huge. We have to be looking outside the barriers of the hospital now and saying, what can we do out in the community? So this is the start for us, and we're always looking at that specific single use case that is a real problem for the trusts, to say, where can we best use it? And a great example of that, although albeit still in the hospital, was through COVID, where we know that, of course, ventilators were absolutely at a premium, weren't they? And actually those hospitals that had tracking devices on their ventilators were able to get themselves up and running. It was extraordinary. Ventilators were being found from all sorts of places, of course. And then which was great. Engineers it straight in there, getting those up and running, serviced. All of that was recorded on the software. And also, of course, if you have a high infection area or an isolation ward or something like that, then you can we can look at where equipment's going in and out of that and saying, no, that needs to stay in this area. And one of the exciting new pieces of functionality that we're bringing is geofencing, which is a bit like drawing a circle around your building, any type of building. You draw a circle around, a virtual circle, and as a piece of medical device goes through that geofence, then it sends an alert.
Right, okay.
So, and we're getting so much interest from that, and also around sort of the mental care wards and so on, particularly are interested in that.
Right.
The neonatal department, all of these departments can benefit from that.
So is that moving to tracking of patients' movements as well as medical devices, or how does that work in a mental health setting?
So you can put trackers. You could either put a geofence around a building,
Right,
or
okay.
you can put it at the entrance. So if you're thinking of if we had a truck on a wheelchair, for example, and
Right,
as that
okay.
passes through, or the T30, the bodyguard Ts that are going out to the communities and they're
Right.
staying in the communities, or ventilators, or whatever equipment is being taken out, then you can put the trackers on those and see as they move, and then it can alert you via WhatsApp or text or email and say, just to let you know this is moved out. We hear of these all sorts of medical equipment being found in the dump or coming up on eBay.
Yeah, that really is a problem.
I know, isn't it? And so actually there are so many scenarios where this technology can be hugely beneficial and really cost effective for the trusts.
So what's next on the horizon?
Exciting times ahead. We've got a release coming out in July for iAssets, which we're very excited about, and we're going to be putting some additional functionality in around that notification piece that we've talked about already. We're also introducing multi-tagging. So at the end of the day, tracking is all about the piece of equipment being able to say, I'm here. Putting more trackers on that can help in order to just increase those read rates. We're also increasing the support that we've got for Wi-Fi networks, so that we can support any network in any trust, which is fabulous. That's long been awaited, so we're looking forward to that. We've updated the interface. It was already intuitive, but we wanted to bring that up to date, give that bit of a fresh feel. So lots going on, and also we also have an asset management system, CAFM Explorer, within our assets division in Idox, which is an asset management system, and we are leveraging the technology that we've got in iFit to introduce tracking into that too, which is fantastic. Again, very unique to Idox. Generally, asset management systems don't have tracking inbuilt in them. So we're excited about taking that to market, and again, it just expands the opportunities for tracking within healthcare, but also out into lots of other sectors too. So there's a lot going on, Louise. It's great.
Fantastic. Sounds it. So exciting times.
Yes,
then.
indeed.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for giving up your time today.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure having you.
Yeah, it's been lovely to meet you. Thanks ever so
Thank
much
you.
for talking to me.
Thanks
Thanks.
very much.